Hi, everyone. My name is Dara. I want to tell you a story. One of the most satisfying moments of my life. It's not just about revenge. It's about patience, quiet growth, and letting your success speak louder than anything else. So, a little background. I come from a pretty wealthy, very image-conscious family. For as long as I can remember, appearances were everything to them. The house, the cars, the designer clothes, the perfect careers. They believed that the only path to success was through traditional, prestigious jobs: doctor, lawyer, executive. Anything else was beneath them. And for a while, I tried to fit that mold. I worked in a high-paying corporate job for several years. From the outside, my life looked great, but inside, I was miserable. Cooking had always been my passion. I loved experimenting in the kitchen, learning new techniques, and imagining what it would be like to run my own restaurant one day. I used to dream about it, a place where people would come for more than just food, but for an experience, for comfort, for connection. But in my family's eyes, leaving a stable corporate career to pursue cooking would have been foolish. A chef? That's not a real job, they would say. It's hard work for low pay. You'll regret it. But after years of unhappiness, I finally made the leap. I quit my job and threw myself into the culinary world. The first few years were brutal. Long hours, low pay, constant doubts. I worked as a line cook in several kitchens, barely scraping by, saving every cent. Meanwhile, my family distanced themselves even more. To them, I had failed. I still remember overhearing my aunt at a family gathering. She was so promising. Now she's just cooking? We slowly drifted apart. For 5 years, we barely spoke. And honestly, that was for the best. It gave me space to focus. I kept working, kept learning, and eventually, an opportunity came up. A struggling old restaurant space downtown was for sale. It needed a lot of work, but something about it spoke to me. I took a risk, bought it with my savings and a small business loan, and poured everything I had into transforming it physically and creatively. It was exhausting. I worked 16-hour days, sometimes sleeping in the back office. Little by little, things began to change. The restaurant gained a following. Word of mouth spread. Food critics started writing about it. Before long, it was one of the most talked about dining spots in the city. We had waiting lists, VIP reservations, media coverage. It wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. I never told my family. I didn't see the point. After years of judgment, I had nothing to prove to them. I focused on my business, my staff, my customers, the things that truly mattered. Then, about 6 months ago, out of the blue, my mother reached out. She said the family wanted to have a nice dinner together, just to catch up, like old times. Part of me was tempted to say no, but another part was curious. I had changed so much. Would they see it? Would they even care? I agreed. My mother insisted on choosing the restaurant, a beautiful place downtown. She said, when she named the restaurant, I almost laughed. Of all the places in the city, they had unknowingly chosen my restaurant. I didn't tell them. I wanted to see how it would play out. That evening, I arrived a little late on purpose. The moment I walked in, it was clear that nothing had changed. They greeted me with polite smiles, but I could feel the judgment behind their eyes. Comments about how I looked different. Questions about whether I was still cooking. My uncle even chuckled and said, "So, is this a hobby now, or are you actually making a living from it?" I just smiled and let them talk. The conversation over dinner was full of the same old, subtle digs. My cousins bragging about their promotions, new cars, fancy vacations, and little jabs at me. My sister, in particular, couldn't help herself. After a while, she leaned over with that condescending smirk and asked, loud enough for the table to hear, "Dara, be honest. Can you even afford a place like this?" That was the moment I'd been waiting for. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. Right on cue, the head waiter, someone who had worked with me since the very beginning, walked over to the table and greeted me warmly. "Welcome back, Miss Dara. Your usual table is ready. Would you like us to prepare the chef's tasting menu for you tonight?" The table went completely silent. The look on their faces, priceless. My sister looked like she'd been slapped. My mother's mouth fell open. My cousins looked from me to the waiter in shock. I could almost hear the gears turning in their heads. And in that moment, everything shifted. The tone of the conversation changed instantly. Now they wanted to know more. "Wait, you own this place? When did this happen? Why didn't you tell us?" But honestly, I didn't feel the need to explain. I had spent years proving myself not to them, but to me. And that was enough. I stayed for the rest of dinner, politely answering their now curious questions, but I didn't gloat. There was no need. The truth was written all over their faces. If there's one thing I learned from this entire experience, it's this. You don't have to broadcast your success. You don't have to seek approval from those who doubted you. Just keep working, keep growing, keep believing in yourself. Because when the time comes, your success will speak louder than any words ever could. And when that moment arrives, it is sweeter than you can imagine.